Remember, as we go forward, use the chat to build your network. This isn't just about me and Jen talking today. It's also about you making connections. These are government contracting folks here today. And so I want you to be able to meet and grow your network, meet new people and grow your network. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I am the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where today we're going to be talking about SBIR, but generally I teach tips for success in the federal market. I've been a small business government contractor in the federal market for 20 years, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. And that's what I want for you. That's some of the tips we're going to hear about today. Just repeatable, predictable results when you're trying to pursue innovation with the federal market. So we're going to dive in a second here. I'm going to be bringing Jen on stage with us. And let me just get my ducks in a row here. Bring it up. Okay, Jen, you can see me and hear me? Perfect. Yeah. Good, and I can hear you. So I'm going to pass the mic to you in just one second. But one of the things, as we get started, I'm going to go through really pretty quickly as many questions as I can get answers to today, talking about SBIR and DARPA. But one of the things that was really fascinating to me, or fun for me, was having conversations with you ahead of time, seeing how excited you are about the work you do, and with DARPA, with SBIR, et cetera. And I thought that'd be a great way to just introduce yourself to the audiences. Tell us, why are you excited about the role that you're in?
Yeah, great. And thank you all for joining in. Yeah, I am thrilled to be here, but I'm thrilled to run the SBIR program for DARPA, because I never know what's coming next. We have done such great groundbreaking things that it's so neat to sit here and watch and help turn the impossible into the possible. And the fact that we can help fund these small businesses into successful businesses that can scale is really what this is all about. And I see it every day. So with that, Neil, I think we should get started.
No, that's awesome. And I love that line, the impossible into the possible. I'm a big fan of being American. Right. So let's get started with just the basics, because I know we have some people who are have some level of understanding about the SBIR program, but from a high level, what is SBIR, and maybe a little bit deeper, what is SBIR to DARPA?
Yeah, so SBIR really is the largest source of early stage funding in the U.S. Right? It's a congressionally mandated set aside program designed to really help small businesses grow and commercialize. And at DARPA, we really turn the impossible into the possible. We are looking at early stage ideas. So at DARPA, our SBIR program is hugely successful, because at DARPA, that's what we do. We do large programs, we do SBIRs, but with the goal of really helping R&D develop and grow.
There's a term you would use, and I'm going to brutalize it again, but you'll make it so much better. But there's a way of looking at DARPA's touching on innovation, the innovation you look for, compared to maybe some other agencies. And I think you described it like holistically, but describe for me what that is, because I think that's a great way to go into what innovation are we talking about, and why.
Yeah, one of the benefits I have here working at DARPA is a lot of times at the DoD, you think of things like drones and satellites, right? But at DARPA, we are the creative branch of the DoD. So what I like to say is that we holistically serve the warfighter. So expand your concept of thinking. We do biological technologies, right? We did mRNA vaccines. We studied PTSD. We studied neuroscience in the government and said, hey, we need to start studying these things. So a lot of times when you have small companies that aren't quite sure where they fit because they're not the traditional type of DoD performer, they really should look at DARPA, because we are where it starts.
No, that is awesome. And one of the things I had asked Jen is that we go short. I just got to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're going to make it hard that I have to ask more good questions.
You told me to keep my answer short.
No, you're perfect. You're perfect. And I'm going to get even tighter with the questions. Really quick, before we go farther, I want to ask a quick poll question for the people who are listening, just to give Jen and me and others an idea who's out there. I'm going to ask you, what is your experience with SBIR? And answer the number 1, 2, 3, or 4 into chat. So 1 is I've won a SBIR award. 2, I've pursued SBIR but no wins. 3, I've heard of SBIR but really don't know much. And then 4, I don't know what SBIR is, but I like the idea of money for innovation. So just put 1, 2, 3, or 4 into the the chat as we go forward in there. I want to dig a little bit more, like expand a little bit more into the innovation, because I know, Jen, one of the struggles small businesses, and I think in particular government contracting small businesses, those of us who are in the federal market, sometimes we don't see the, where our innovation fits. But I had a company, as an example, who had, like, let's call it a venture side of their own, where they were training basically an AI model or something on how to properly pull a weapon for law enforcement. And usually you have a master trainer or something there doing it, but here they were training the computer to be able to do that. And so when we think about the warfighter, et cetera, is DARPA also like coming all the way out to that side on all this emerging technology? And can you expand on some of the areas DARPA is looking for there?
Yeah, let's pull this up a level. So DARPA is composed of 6 technical offices. We have sort of the sciences offices and the technology offices. We've got a basic science or defense sciences office. We actually call them DARPA's DARPA. They are the mad scientists. They are the creative branch. And then we've got our biological technologies, which kind of does what you would expect. But then we have our information innovation office, which really does a lot of cyber and AI and ML and NL. It runs the gamut. And then we've got more specific offices, our microsystems technologies office, and we have our strategic technologies office and our tactical technologies office. And the way to kind of figure out what we're interested in is to check our websites. And I'm going to be a little bit wordy here just for a second, Neil. Yep. But DARPA is composed of about 150 to 120 technical program managers at any given time. And I say at any given time because they are here for terms. They rotate in and out. They know that right when they get here, they got to start thinking about an exit strategy, because if we are to stay ahead of state-of-the-art technology, we can't do that by having the same people here. So what happens is our thrust areas in our technical offices change quite frequently based on the makeup of our program managers. So I always say, take a look at our website to kind of see what the latest thing is that we're interested in. And if not, check that URL down by where my name is. We have our first ever partnership intermediary agreement, DARPA Connect, DARPAConnect.us. They are designed to help you break into the DARPA market. My director likes to say that what keeps her up at night is not all the scary things she knows about. It's the fact that she knows there's great ideas out there. There's innovators like everybody here, but we're not hearing their ideas. And I'm seeing lots of 3s and 4s coming through on the chat. We're not hearing your idea because you don't know how to work and partner with us. So they are designed to help you partner with us and find a home for your research.
Yeah, and I would highly encourage people to go out and check out the website, even DARPA's website to start, and then DARPAConnect.us, because there's so much information. Even this morning, I shared a deck. I don't know if you saw it, Jen, but it was like the Information Innovation Office. And I'm just reading through, and it's just staggering the stuff that they're talking about. And IT is kind of my world, so I relate a little bit to it. But let me, and by the way, just if somebody, I'm not sure if I saw it, but if somebody's feeling generous, put www.darpaconnect.us into the chat, because that's really the starting place for your exploration into DARPA innovation, et cetera. So we'll come back maybe and talk about that in a minute. So, and by the way, I love DARPA's DARPA. I got to go look, go dig further into that. People who have been at this a little while, they get better at it, so they feel more comfortable talking to DARPA or coming in, talking to those program managers or whoever, right? How about these people who are doing 4s? And 3s probably is the better one, because they heard about it, but maybe we're nervous. How do we get started before even maybe responding? And we can talk about the process in a second, but just, I mean, can I pick up the phone and call people? What's your thoughts on even finding out whether you like the idea or not?
I love that. Yeah, I like to tell people the only thing standing between you and working with DARPA is you. We are a small, agile agency. We are so different than the services, right? Or even than the large DoD that Gina talked about yesterday. We are a small agency. We want to hear from you. A lot of times our ideas for programs or SBIRs or seedlings come from conversations with you all. But the best way to engage really is to reach out to a program manager. They're all listed on our website, and you can send an email. But what I like to say is go to DARPA Connect, and they will help you craft that email. Our PMs travel about 100 days of the year. They're constantly on their data phones, right? So DARPA Connect will help you craft an email that's about 1 screen size big. That's all they got, so they don't have to scroll, to really help you get their attention. we speak in what we call the Heilmeier catechism, which is a series of questions that are real basic that kind of help you narrow the scope of your research so that you can relay it to the program managers. So figure out who you want to chat with. And if you can't, DARPA Connect can help kind of hook you up with the right program managers to connect with. And then they'll help you craft an email. But my one piece before I turn it back to Neil is to think wide, cast a wide net. Don't be narrow in where you think your application is going to be. Oftentimes, there are lots of different applications for you within the DoD or within DARPA. So don't just identify one program manager, identify multiple ones to reach to try to catch that net.
No, I don't think I've heard of that anywhere, frankly. Like we talk about going to PTAX or Apex Accelerators or somebody else, and they can give you some guidance. But here's literally program managers within an agency willing to help you figure out how to shape your message so that you can go further into an agency based on their recommendations, et cetera. I just love that. I'm going to become a huge champion of DARPA Connect.
Love it.
And so first I wanted to come back and just reinforce this to everybody else, this idea that I teach in sales, that if you want to get somebody to open your email, you got to make it small and have one kind of purpose. So it's really easy. And I love the way you said on a screen. But I did want to pull a little bit more on something I know you were alluding to that you could go a little further into. Are those questions, if you've got them kind of at the top of your head, is, those typical questions, and not the typical, but that you got to tell me who the guy is way back when who said, hey, just ask these questions, and it really helps you shape it. If you can give us those questions or paraphrase, those would be awesome, I think, for people to.
Yeah, absolutely. So DARPA runs on what we call the Heilmeier catechism. George Heilmeier was a DARPA director back in the 70s, and our program managers actually have to respond when they're pitching programs or pitching ideas to their office director or the director of the agency. They have to respond in the Heilmeier catechism, right? And so there's a series of 7 questions. We've kind of shortened it to 4 or 5 over time. But it's really, what are you trying to do? Explain with absolutely no jargon. And I should also add, I do this with my children. If they want something, they got to talk to me. It's a great way to kind of get some ideas together. What are you trying to do, right? How is it done today, and what are those limits? What's the limits of the current practice? What's new in your approach, and why do you think it's going to be successful? Who cares, right? If you are successful, what difference is that going to make, right? And the other one we try to kind of think about is like, what are the midterm final exams? What's the check for success? What does that look like? And so DARPA Connect will help you kind of frame your R&D proposal in a way, in a short email, to kind of get this information across the program managers. It's the language that they kind of understand. And if you think about it, as you are trying to scale your business and grow it, having a short little snip of what you do with no jargon so that anyone can understand is really going to help you scale for success.
Yeah, it's just brilliant, the support that you provide industry out there. Or more importantly, I'm thinking how you came to realize how you could train us to better help you by going earlier in the process and getting us to be able to make this clear. DARPA, from my opinion, is the Silicon Valley of the federal government, if you will. And this is where the innovation happens, and even the innovation on the process side, which I really like. And I want to go to process in a second, but let's talk a couple of things around money and value, right? First off, I like to describe the SBIR program as just angel investing, seed stage, pre-stage, whatever it is, in the government. But what kind of money can people think about when they're thinking about innovative dollars? And without going too far into that, how are they protected? Like if they come together and work with you compared to working with a VC, what's the difference on that particular side?
Got it. Yeah. So, all right, let's start with dollar values first, right? My SBIR budget this year is about 113 million and change, but I will tell you that this is where I start and it's never where I end. Because we are so innovative, because our program is so exciting, my colleagues at other agencies actually do a lot of what we call co-funding and chip money in to support our program. So my program does grow. Let's one more piece on money and then we'll get to what they can expect, right? My phase 1s, which are the feasibility studies, are about $250,000. Our phase 2s, or our directed phase 2s, are about 1.8 million. Now, our phase 1s are anywhere from, I would say, 6 to 12 months, an average maybe of 8 to 10. And our phase 2s are about 24 to 36 months, right? But but what can they expect from us, right? This is undiluted funding, right? This is funding that we are giving to you to fund this research and development idea without having a stake in your company or anything like that, like a VC. This is undiluted seed money to help get you started. And for those of you that are really early and are not sure if your idea is going to work, we are for you. I have a company that we funded about 6 years ago now. There was a group of doctors just sitting around one day and they said, what if we could get DARPA to fund the first year of our company? They didn't know if their idea was going to work. They didn't know. And you know what? 6 years later, they have 30 employees and $30 million in undiluted funding that has now been added to them. We are the place to start when you're not sure if this is going to work. We take those big swings, big risks.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And even in the VC world, there's VCs that want you to be more mature and farther along, doing millions of profit or something. And then others who say, hey, we want to get there when you have the idea, or maybe when you're just starting to figure it out. I do want to pull a thread on that feasibility study, because it's actually just an unusual thing for me. I'm building out a new platform to support government contractors. And in this platform, 4 months ago, I formed this team of what I consider the five best of us here. And in the 4 months, we're just accelerating really fast. And we're not doing a feasibility study. We're like building the product as fast as we can. In SBIR, whether it's DARPA or across the board, is a feasibility study like trying to get those MVPs out? Or is it more paper concept?
So feasibility tends to be sort of the white paper. To be sort of the white paper phase. But I will say at DARPA, when we release our topics, I would cut it down to sort of a third, a third, and a third. A third of my topics are phase ones. Those are feasibility white papers. A third of my topics are released as direct to phase two. In other words, we have skipped phase one. As long as you can demonstrate feasibility in your proposal, and we tell you what that needs to be and what that looks like, we can skip phase one and go right to phase two. And then the final third will release topics that are both phase one and direct to phase two. Because while we know there's companies out there that can show feasibility, we don't want to miss on some of those good early stage ideas too. So we try to really make this as open as possible to cast that wide net to get the best pool of performers.
And I don't know if you were about to talk about the straight to phase two, like what you expect from companies to be able to be considered for that. But what's that mean there?
Yes, so we will outline that when we release a topic. It could be any number of things to show that you can demonstrate feasibility. And so what our program managers do, again, is they try to cast that wider net. They'll give you a couple of different ways that you can demonstrate it. And when you put your proposal together, you include that with your proposal for the direct to phase two.
Okay, no, that's perfect. And this idea of topics, right? You and I are saying the word topic, but for a lot of the people who are threes and fours in the previous answer, even that term is a different term. Talk to me about topics, and then do me a favor and throw on there also open topics if DARPA does that.
Yep, absolutely. So we do have an open topic. It actually is out on the street right now. We do an open tailored topic as was sort of required in the SBIR Reauthorization Act a few years ago. But most of our topics are what I'll call more narrow and more specific. At DARPA, we do things a little different because, well, we're DARPA. And our program managers are the ones that draft these topics. So these are problems that we want solutions for. We don't mandate the solution. We don't tell you the approach. We throw out the topic and say what we kind of want the final end state to look like. And it's all of you. It's all of you proposers that kind of respond and tell us how we can get there. So they tend to be very specific, but they are from one of our 6 technical offices. And I will say this program is so popular that probably use of the SBIR program is about even with all of my 6 technical offices. Even some of the ones that tend to be a little higher TRL use this program quite successfully to help come up with some great new ideas.
No, that's perfect. And I want to pull a thread a little bit more on the open topic, because I think I got an idea of the answer. But let me do another quick poll of the audience who's listening. Just tell us about yourself. In this particular case, answer number 5, 6, or 7. Just put 5, 6, or 7 in the chat. Put 5 in the chat if you're an existing government contractor in SAM. Put 6 in the chat if you're not in SAM but plan on being in there. And put 7 in there if you're wondering who this SAM guy is or what is SAM. So 5, 6, or 7 in the chat. It just lets us know your journey, and anywhere is fine. Let me pull a little bit more thread on the open topic or the ideas, because what's interesting, I'm still learning. I talk about I'm an expert in government contracting, but I'm not an expert in everything. There's so much to learn. It's from a SBIR open topic. I thought that was where maybe I brought new ideas, but it sounds like maybe the way I get my ideas into the DARPA mix, if you will, are these program managers going through DARPA Connect, but these program managers.
Yeah, so I would say because we're a lean agency, we can't have a true open topic because we would be so inundated and we may not have the right expertise. So we do a tailored open topic based on sort of feedback and needs that we're hearing. But yeah, the best thing to do is honestly, and we're different from any other agency, we want you to engage and talk with us. We are not a big building with millions of people in it. There is 1 or 2 program managers that do a specific research in the area, and they all know each other. So we want you to reach us because you could be giving them your idea for their next SBIR topic that they release. We also do have other smaller efforts, so I'm going to pump those just for a minute. Then we have smaller efforts that are called seedlings, and we have explorations and advanced research concept topics. So reaching out to these program managers, they'll give you feedback on your idea, and they'll maybe say, hey, drop a white paper in because we want to do a seedling with you. Or they'll say, hey, maybe you should take a look for a topic in a couple of months because this is a great idea. But we do get our ideas from talking with innovators.
No, that's perfect. And one of the, it's funny, Gina Sims from DOD, yesterday we were talking and she goes, oh, I like talking about money because there's an important part of it or something. And it just happened to be the way she answered a particular question I threw it. I was like, that's good because we all like talking about money too. Money helps us be able to innovate much more efficiently at the very least. And but so money makes sense for industry. Why does it? And you had already touched on this a little bit in the beginning, but just tell me again, what's in it for DARPA? Why does DARPA want to do SBIR with industry? Why does DARPA, instead of just doing innovation all itself, why is it going out throughout America and looking for innovative partners, if you will?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it really, a couple of reasons, right? But the big one, right, it comes back to answering the call from our director, right? That what keeps her up at night is knowing that there's great ideas that she's not hearing because they don't know how to work with us. You don't stay ahead of state-of-the-art technology. You don't change the impossible into the possible by having the same people give you ideas. You have to go out there. And at DARPA, because we are the creative branch of the DoD, we do take big swings. High risk, high reward, high risk, no reward. And that's okay, because even if there's not a there yet, even if we do a SBIR or a program, a seedling, an STTR, and the research says it's not quite time yet, that's still given us some information and we can revector and go farther. We are that branch where you can take those risks and those big swings. And that's all because of our mission. DARPA was started in response to Sputnik. And at that time, Congress, the United States was surprised. And we decided we were never going to be surprised again. And with half a page of legislation, Congress gave birth to DARPA. And their mission is to be 7 to 10 years out, looking at what are those next big things. So you're not always going to hit them right, but you got to keep researching, you got to keep trying. And that's where these small businesses come in. Small businesses are key innovators, right? Small businesses know that they have to take innovation and big risks and big swings, because if they don't, they won't be here. That makes small businesses ideal partners for DARPA.
No, that's awesome. I mean, we are the speedboat on the water kind of thing. I did want to pull one question out. We've got like 5 minutes left, but one question out of the chat that I saw that I didn't go too far into, but as it relates to SBIR funding, if I win a contract, et cetera, what's the relationship between SBIR dollars and any other dollars I might want to go after? Can I go after VC money? Even though they're taking a stake in my company, it's okay. DARPA's not. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely. Small businesses a lot of times use SBIR awards to leverage to get more or get some interest from outside investors, right? And honestly, if you get some outside funding, that's fantastic, not only for your company, but you might be eligible for a match. So in most of our SBIR programs, me and my colleagues, right, we will match funds. So DARPA has what we call an enhancement program, where we will add an enhancement or matching funds up to $500,000 on your contract if you get outside funding as well. So we definitely encourage that. But I will also tell you that there is no cap on non-SBIR dollars, meaning dollars that are not specifically earmarked for SBIR. So if we have a SBIR program going for you and we have funded with SBIR dollars, but let's say my colleagues at the Air Force or Navy are interested, they can go ahead and add more money to your contract too and increase the scope of work and plus it up.
No, that's awesome. It is, again, just testimony to how great the program is. I want to pull into DARPA Connect as we're going to the end, because just for everybody out there, one of the things we want you to do is to go check out DARPA Connect and register on DARPA Connect. This is the place you want to be. So darpaconnect.us is the website. But do me a favor, again, Jen, from a high level, just talk about what can we find on there? Like if you think about the top 3 things for a beginner person into DARPA's SBIR program, what can we find on there that you want us to go look at or do?
Love it. My favorite question, because I also run DARPA Connect. It is a free resource that you can maximize to the fullest extent of your desires or your ability. And there's basically 3 main components of DARPA Connect, right? They're designed to break down barriers to entry. So we do that in a couple of different ways. We have regional pop-ups. There is one coming up next week in Nebraska, and there is one in Albany in November. They're in person and virtual. And that's basically an all-day event, sort of what I like to call a teaser, in teaching you how to engage with DARPA, how to understand our broad agency announcements, talking about teaming, different pathways to DARPA. It's what I like to call one of your first touch points. But also on darpaconnect.us, we have an online curriculum where you can go on and choose from, I think there's about 10 modules now, and we're adding 3 more next week. Choose from any of those. They take about 20 to 30 minutes total to kind of look through. There's a DARPA 101, there's a SBIR, STTR DARPA 101, there's even things with security and contracting. So those are self-paced learning modules that can help reinforce or actually serve as a basis for your understanding of DARPA. And then that final piece is what we call the Connect Corner. And that's my favorite piece, because that really combines the in-person with the virtual, where monthly we offer webinars and Ask Me Anythings. In fact, last week we did, or 2 weeks ago, we did a webinar with our director, Stephanie Tompkins. We did a fireside chat. And coming up in September, we have a security Ask Me Anything. But we also offer weekly coaching, one-on-one coaching, and office hours. Office hours are 10 minutes that you can kind of sign up and get quick answers to your questions. And coaching is about 30 minutes. They do fill up quickly, but it is really a resource that is designed to help you better be educated. I like to say, Neil, you kind of touched on this in the beginning. I think that a lot of times the work that you do up front to educate yourself on an agency is so important, because it helps you put together a stronger proposal. You really understand the agency. And so that when a topic drops, a BAA drops, and you want to respond, you already now understand the agency, what we're looking for. And that comes through in how you write your proposal.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. And like I said, I'm I think a DARPA Connect evangelist is what I'll start calling myself, because it's where we can go to learn all this stuff. You're making it easier. Sometimes we have to fight to learn. You're saying, no, we're going to make it easier. And every day we're going to try to make it easier on you. We're out of time, and hopefully you felt like this went fast, not slow. But Jen, on behalf of everybody, especially myself, I really appreciate you coming and sharing this information, because even though I researched ahead of time, even though I talked to you ahead of time, in this session, I was learning and writing furiously for myself. I'm like, oh, write this, note this down. And so the information was so awesome. So first, thank you. And then the second thing is just if obviously you want people to go to DARPA Connect, but if you left us with one message from you to the audience, what would you want us to remember walking away? The one thing.
Keep trying. DARPA's hard, but we want you and want your ideas. So if you're not successful the first time, ask for a debrief. Say, why wasn't I successful? Get some feedback. It could be you missed the mark, or it could be you did a great job and there wasn't enough funding. So keep trying, because with the help of DARPA Connect and with those sharpening of proposals, you can become a performer, and we need you. We need your ideas.
No, you're awesome. I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to actually put you backstage for 1 second and talk to you in a minute and just close out with everybody. And so just letting everybody know that it's awesome. By the way, put DARPA Rocks into the chat. If you valued today's session, put DARPA Rocks. Tomorrow we're doing Missile Defense Agency is going to come in and talk about SBIR from their perspective, which is really going to be an interesting difference from what we heard today. And the last thing is you can see on my, hopefully on my camera there, www.govconchamber.com/SBIR. We're planning a much broader SBIR event. And if that's something you're interested in, go to govconchamber.com/SBIR and you can register for the wait list. Plus, when we have all these replays ready, we'll just package them up and tell you where they're at. Any tips we have, any material that we get from DARPA and others, we'll put it there so it's all kind of in one place, easy for anybody to get free access to and easy access. Okay, just as you move forward, remember, government contracting, it is not a secret, it's just a process. I will see you in the next training.